Let's head on now to the U.S., where President Donald Trump has threatened Russia with new sanctions and tariffs over its bombardment of Ukraine. Trump's warning comes after Russia's latest drone and missile attack on Ukrainian energy facilities. In a statement, Trump said he's considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs until a ceasefire and settlement are reached. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has also called for a mutual halt to aerial attacks on critical infrastructure, seeking to end the devastating war. Professor Bola Akinterinwa is a former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. He's also the Director General of Polytech Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies and currently Professor of International Relations at the Achievers University in Ondo State. Thank you very much, Prof, for giving us your time. Now, whereas a military aid and intelligence sharing has been cut off with Ukraine, Trump is just now considering tariffs on Russia and asking both to get to the table. Reports by Reuters claim his comments is off because just days ago, the White House was drawing up plans to potentially give Russia sanctions relief as part of a push to end the war. And now he says his Russian counterpart, Putin, wants the war to stop and settle.
Yes, hello?
So the scale of balance is off in how Trump is going about this much talked about end of the war, doesn't it? Thank you for staying with us. We're taking a look at Trump's threat of sanctions on Russia. We have Professor Akinterinwa. Prof, if you can hear me, can you acknowledge?
Thank you for having me.
Great. So to my earlier question, I was just asking you the scale of balance based on what we know of what is going on with how he has been handling this matter. Do you think the balance will work towards the peace talks that he's looking for?
You see, what is happening, as we can observe as an outsider, is nothing more than what I would prefer to describe as strategic braggadocio. It is nothing more than braggadocio at the level of the way Donald Trump is going about it. First of all, this war has been on about 3 years ago, February. And the United States, with the European allies, threatened to sanction in an unprecedented manner Russia. And true enough, they took a number of sanctionary measures against Russia. But they have been to no avail. The sanctions had not in any way perturbed Russia in any significant manner. So if, for instance, the same Donald Trump is now coming to threaten afresh Russia, I think it's nothing more than braggadocio. Secondly, Steve Witkoff, the representative of Donald Trump, who has been negotiating, discussing with Russia and Saudi Arabia in anticipation for a tete-a-tete between the two leaders, US and Russia, talked about possibility of reaching an agreement. There isn't an agreement as of now. Consequently, there has not been any end to the war. Even though Donald Trump made it clear that they are suspending intelligence sharing, that aid to Ukraine will be stopped. And probably it has been stopped, no intelligence sharing. Contrary to what is reported, only God knows what is happening.
All right, in the interest of time, Prof, or time constraints, I'll just jump on and ask you, based on Trump's campaign promises, he seems to be doubling down on his promise, but it's gone beyond 24 hours he earlier promised. Do you think that he will be able to keep his campaign promise to end the war in Ukraine, going by all that we've seen?
That is precisely what I'm trying to lead my argument to. There's nothing more Donald Trump can do. That's why I call it strategic braggadocio. You see, the issue is that if you look at the question from the perspective of international law, there is the principle of mediation. You want to mediate a dispute, a crisis. The principle requires that you must be acceptable to all the disputants, all the parties to the dispute. Now, if you are going to be acceptable too, you are not supposed to be partisan. But we all know that the United States of Donald Trump, is very partisan.
All right.
So why would you expect that the outcome will be anything to go by? Look at the Ukrainian leader himself. Reportedly, he has committed errors. He was in conflict with Donald Trump. Reportedly, too, he apologized, and he's looking forward to an understanding at the level of the United States. But the issue is that Donald Trump does not have control over Russia.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Donald Trump is...
Prof.
Okay.
We're actually out of time for this conversation. We just have to say thank you very much for what you have submitted on the subject.